The polarizing case of William McNeel. Y'all have seen the video now going absolutely ape crazy. Okay. The young man sitting in the car, the window being busted, and him getting pop, pop in the face. And then when he was outside the car, he get pop, pop in the face. Many people have had all kinds of takes about this, whether justified, unjustified, reasonable, not reasonable, had it come in, should have come, all these conversations. I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it out loud, and whether people like it or not, I'm going to stand on business. That punch, unjustified. Punch outside the car, unjustified. Look, I saw the whole thing, body cam included, all of it. Unjustified. There's no way you can tell me that even after he did whatever he did, that once he was just sitting there, that a punch coming through the window of all things to break it was justified. Nope. Sorry, nope. But Mr. Tatum, bless his heart, he has a very different, and I mean very different take on this one. This platform called Here's the Deal did a covering of his particular response. Now, he was on a different podcast having a discussion about the incident and giving his police breakdown about it. And I will tell you some of the things he says has us baffled, but not fully baffled. Could we understand? This is what we genuinely believe about Brandon Tatum. Brandon Tatum does not know how to separate reality from the fiction in his mind. He is so hell-bent on the state of certain individuals that have a certain skin color and having certain altercations that he cannot differentiate between something done right and something done wrong because he only backs a certain type of behavior. That's dangerous to and I mean an exponential amount, because if you can't hold the people that you back to account, then you don't really want to hold anything to account. And that's Brandon. He does not care what cops do. In fact, he loves when cops do something stupid. If you remember that lady that got burned or shot with the water incident, and he told that line that she deserved it, that kind of nonsense, well, we have it again. And I do want to give a shout out to this man, because that's the one that's covering it here, because I will tell you this, and I'm going to admit to it. There's some things in this video that will make me laugh, and I'm going to laugh. And if you don't like the fact that I'm laughing, I'm sorry. I just find certain things hilarious when people say it certain ways. So without further ado, our reaction to Here's the Deal and Brandon Tatum's response to Mr. McNeel's altercation.
And here I was convinced that Thin Blue Line, former Tucson police officer and SWAT team terrorist, Brandon Soften 'em Up Tatum, was done proving lackluster right, that he's a bootlicking moron. I thought he was done digging his grave, and that his shovel had broken at the bottom of the ditch. Turns out he went to Home Depot to buy an auger so he could dig more feverishly.
You might think he's overdoing, and how dare he call him a bootlicker. I understand terminologies can be very offensive, and I'm sorry that you might find that one offensive, but I think this is just what I think. Once you hear the things that Officer Tatum is saying, you might change your mind. I'm telling you, you might change your mind. So let's go forward.
You saw when he punched him in the face when he was out of the car, he complied. so
let me ask you, why is that funny? Why is it funny that you have to punch somebody in the face after they get out of the car for him to comply? Why is that hilarious again? Okay, continue.
A cop got to do whatever a cop believes is necessary to get this guy under control. When you're physically there,
really,
your adrenaline is out of control. Out of control.
Hold. Just bring it down a second. I thought, this is just me. I mean, I've known some police in my time. I still know some. And the number one trait that they have to have is the ability to stay focused under pressure. Not have adrenaline take you to a place where you're not in control of the situation. It almost feels as though he gives them justification to act completely out of the character of a police officer just because.
Of control. Because you think I can be killed at any moment right now. I can see this guy's hands. He got the windows rolled up. Is this going to be my moment?
In other words, could I die by unnecessarily threatening people I don't know?
Two-way street, isn't it? Now, here's the thing. I understand the threats that might show up on a day-to-day basis on the street when a cop is involved in something. Here's a basic problem, at least we have here. If you genuinely believe that there is a threat to you and you cannot see, stay away. Now, let me ask you a question, and this is the most big elephant one I can think of. If the man, and Tatum's right, if Tatum is right in his response, is concerned about his safety, and I have to act accordingly, do you think maybe punching out the window with your hands without a weapon is more dangerous to you than staying to the back of the car and waiting? Because hear me out, you punch you through the glass. Two things. You put your hand in danger of getting cut, lacerations, some probably an artery getting jacked, right? Okay, cool. Now your hand is inside the car. This is dangerous, right? The man in the car could have any number of things, knives, guns, bats, you name it, right? So now you've just exposed yourself to an injury. You're now at a deficit because one hand is impaired inside the car with the person you said you're afraid of. And then you still have to try and ascertain whether or not you're still in danger. So if adrenaline does that to you, maybe it behooves you to go through training to keep your adrenaline in check, huh? Yeah. All right.
And guys, stay tuned because it gets way worse.
There's that viral video going around about the guy whose window was smashed. I mean, what could you just because you brought it up? Could you explain to me how that was okay? Because I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, okay and justified according to the law is two different things.
How? Okay. You know what? I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna let you flesh that out. However, you saw the video, right? Bust the glass. Now the effort was to bust the glass to open the door, I thought. But it seemed like the busting of the glass was in an effort to open the dude's face with a cut. I guess because they accomplished one of them.
Michael's a bit of a libtard, so I'm just kidding.
Tell me. I want to know.
No, it's totally fine. I think everybody should question these things and they should hear viewpoints, right? Mm-hmm. Subjectively, a person may think that it's not okay to strike people no matter what. Mm-hmm. Subjectively. Objectively, you have to look at the law and the justification for use of force against people at any given time. The totality of circumstances, in my personal opinion, would lead an officer to have that leverage to say, if I believe that a face strike while I'm trying to pull a guy out of the car because he's non-compliant was justifiable for me to execute an arrest, an officer can utilize that force. Now, I don't know if you saw the body-worn camera. They produced the body-worn camera. Oh, that's crucial. Okay. They produced the body-worn camera yesterday. The sheriff came out and articulated very clearly what.
It's not that crucial. Hear me out. It's not that crucial. The only part that makes it crucial is the fact that the guy did not want to get out the car. He set up a situation. Yes, he did. That was silly. 100% silly for him to just clam the door shut, blam, and no longer talk and interact for a traffic stop. Yes, that was silly. No doubt. What was also probably twice as silly is the police officers doing what they did after that fact. That was, I would say, even 3 times as silly. To bust the glass and do what they did after you got the glass. Now, remind you, we're trying to get in the car. The glass is busted. All you'd have to do is open the door from the inside out. There's no need to strike the dude. But that still happened.
What was going on?
You mean this sheriff who said it wasn't a sucker punch?
Not a sucker punch. Not a sucker punch.
Exit the vehicle.
And
I'm pretty sure that's a sucker punch. I do self-defense, right? I'm gonna tell you now, that was a sucker punch. By the idea of a sucker punch, the person don't see it coming, and you just haul off and pop, pop, pop. No, yeah, that's a sucker doing. That's sucker move right there.
This wasn't a sucker punch.
Not a sucker punch.
And these weren't sucker punches.
Behind your back. I'm resisting. Behind your back.
Not a sucker punch. Not a sucker punch.
Sheriffs and police chiefs are known to lie to the public to their faces in an effort to fortify the thin blue line of silence and criminality.
We've seen that happen, right? I said, not all, not all, not all. We know there are tons of police officers that do their job exquisitely. There are tons of them. They don't get recognized because, well, they're doing their job correctly. Ain't that weird? Like you don't hear about them, but the few you do hear about because they do it wrong will indeed get publicized. I don't think that's a far-fetched theory, is it? That if you do something really, 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 really dumb, that is more likely to go viral than if you do something really, 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 really good. Like, say, for instance, you get pulled over and the cop says, "Hey, how you doing?" "I'm good. Just want you to know, I clocked you at going 60 and a 40. I'm just want to let you know that that's not something we'd like to have happen. There are kids around here. It could be dangerous. Do you by chance have your license and registration so we can get to the bottom of what's going on?" And you said, "I don't need to give you that." And the cop says, "Okay. Would you like a supervisor or something to have happen?" And he's just doing his best to comply. And you say, "Yeah," and you're getting all belligerent. And then he gets a supervisor, and the supervisor shows up, and the case gets resolved. You'll never hear about that on the news. However, a police officer pulls you over. "You're going 60 and a 40, sir. That's very dangerous. There are kids around you." "I don't need it." Like, "All right, sir, give me your license and registration." "I don't need to give you," pop, 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 punches you in the face. "Give me your license and registration." Someone records that stuff. Now it goes viral. See the difference? One bad cop, one good cop, but you'll always hear about the bad cop because it's more salacious. So we do understand that cops do their job, but there are people like Tatum who does not want to harp on the ones that do good. He's defending the ones that do bad. There's our problem.
Brandon, of course, believes the sheriff, but people who know what law enforcement is all about don't believe any cop.
And so at the very beginning, they pull up. He was non-compliant. He literally told him, "No, I'm not doing anything you told me to do." He shut the door, locked it, and said, "Send your supervisor. I'm not doing anything." The cop told him 7 times, "You're under arrest for obstruction. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. You're under arrest for obstruction." Everything the officer did was according to the law.
Except for the punch. I mean, get out of the car, get out of the car. It's still not a reason to pop, get out of the car. It's simply, Brandon, look, man, look. I think it's time we have a discussion directly to you, okay? I know you're trying to duck us, and that's okay. You can duck all you want. Duck away, duck, goose, all you want. You got to start implementing something we like to call over here logic. I understand you want to say cops are always right, but they're not. They're not always right, bro. You might want to quantify your thought process because the majority of cops might be, but even that you don't know. There are very good police officers out there, 100%. But man, look, when you see it in your face that they're doing ridiculous things, it is okay to call them out, buddy. It really is. Like, it's just, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, since you love the cops so much, this is helping law enforcement have a better track record. That's what it's doing. The more you weed out idiots like these, the better the police officers will be off because they don't have to deal with people like this. Anyhow.
Wasn't even a violent interaction initially. The officer was saying, "Sir, you're under arrest, sir." And the officer actually told him exactly why he pulled him over. He said, "You pulled you over for not having your headlights on in inclement weather, and you didn't have a seatbelt on for not having your headlights on in inclement weather."
Now, Tatum keeps saying this, but as we've seen, inclement weather is not a term or a justification that's even found in the specific Florida statute.
No, it's not. And he did an entire video about that. And he kept interchanging the word inclement with fog and rain. And he's calling the whole conglomeration of weather events inclement. And it's not listed. It's listed very individually, very on purpose. Okay? Smoke, rain, fog. Those are the 3 during. And he always wants to conflate because he's trying to make his point more valid than anybody else's. But he fails at that because that's not what the statutes say. Reading is fundamental.
316.217 governs, quote, when lighted lamps are required. And it specifically says, quote, during any rain, smoke, or fog. Since the stop was not initiated during rain, the cop acted outside of the parameter of his own rights violating law. Therefore, it was not a lawful stop to begin with, according to their own statute. As for the Constitution trampling seatbelt violation claim, we know cops lie about that all the time too. Remember this Montgomery County, Texas deputy who pulled Miss Maddie over for not wearing a seatbelt that she was actually wearing?
Are you pulling me over?
Now, mind you, this happens a lot. It does. It's a twofold situation here. You keep your composure and allow the other person to be the one in the wrong. This is our advice to anybody getting pulled over. Keep your composure. It's vital. And they say this all the time, too. Argue your stuff before the bench and not in the streets. That's very vital, too. But again, there are certain things that eventually become too ridiculous for even the most docile person to handle. And never do that. Don't ever do. That was the worst thing she could ever do. Don't do that. Stay right where you are. Don't move. If your seatbelt's on, leave it on. Do not attempt to open the door. That is the most silly thing you could. I don't care if you're male, female, white, black, blue, or don't do that. If you want to make it home, don't do that. Stay put and wait. Be patient. Let them tell you what next step is, and don't give them more reasons to do something silly than you already have by just doing nothing. You get what I'm saying? Don't do this. This is a dumb move.
I just took my seatbelt off as a habit. Yeah, I just took this off, just so you know. I wasn't driving without this habit. Huh?
That's the reason you're being stopped.
No, I just took it off. I swear to God.
You see, this is why you don't do. See? You play into people's hands when you try to be overzealous. Don't do anything they didn't ask you to do. Don't do it.
It's habit. Yeah. I wasn't speeding.
Oh, man, I'm sorry. The reason you're being stopped today because you can have a seatbelt on.
No, I just took it off. I swear to God. I have a camera. I have a camera. I can play it for you. Because it's habit. When I stop the car and put it in park, I take it off.
Is this your car?
Yeah.
What do you have to do?
Because my husband owns a dealership.
Okay. So, does that mean you just put dealer tag on any vehicle that you own?
No, we're going to sell it.
Usually whenever for a dealer or if they're showing the vehicle,
yeah.
It's just neither of
it's
not neither case right now, correct?
No, he's going to sell it. I'm just test driving it.
Are you now? Okay, but you just said this is your car.
No, it's, of course, I'm driving it, so I have to have insurance on it and stuff.
Okay, so this is your car. I said this is your vehicle. And you said, yes.
And this is what you call entrapment. Okay, just so you know, I will blatantly tell you now, right now, that officer is a horrible officer and he should not have his job. He should not. What he's doing is trying to create more drama, more tension in order to have more citations issued to this lady. And you know who's going to defend him? Tatum. Tatum would have probably defended this man if he had the chance, because he'll defend any cop doing anything regardless of what they're doing. This is entrapment.
So there should be a reason why you should have a dealer tag on her just because your husband.
Well, right now I'm driving it, so it's not like.
And if she didn't have insurance, then it would be a citation for not having insurance. But now she has insurance, or you should. Why are you having insurance on a car that's not? You see the problem here? She can't win. She can't lose. Everything is about loss right now. Everything.
Do you want me to call my husband? You can talk to him.
I'll go off what you told me. You told me that this is your vehicle. You still live on Country Place Road?
Yeah.
All right, bring back with you.
Uh-huh.
There you go. Make sure you wear your seatbelt also.
I swear I was wearing it.
Make sure you also start driving cars if it's not.
He's not even listening because he can't prove what he knows. He knows she didn't take it off while she was driving. He knows this. What he was hoping for was more combative, more argument. He was hoping that there was to be way more to do so that he can actually do something more egregious. That's what he was hoping for. So yes, there are bad cops out there.
Huh?
Put a real tag on your vehicle. I'll do the tag, okay?
Okay, but I swear I have. Okay.
We all know that if Maddie didn't have a camera proving she had a seatbelt on, she would have gotten a ticket and the judge would have believed the lying cop over her. Seatbelt laws violate your freedoms in America, and cops lie about those laws all the time to shake down their victims. And Tatum supports these pirates. If badged roadside abusers will lie about a seatbelt to shake you down, or what's been recently exposed in Tennessee, how 609 sober people got DUI records by dishonest cops, well, then they'll lie about anything, and you would be insane to trust them.
And this is factual. Listen. Again, we support good police officers. Please get that word in front of everything we say. A good police officer we will always back. Always. But not everybody has proper balance. Some people don't know how to balance on one foot to save their life. Some people don't even know how to do a pirouette and turn around. They don't know how. It's like they do not have that particular ability. So you might come across as drunk when you get pulled over because you can't walk a straight line. That's problematic to me. But hey, who am I? I'm not Brandon Tatum, so I'm not like a stickler.
And the guy was just completely combative for the first several minutes before he turned his camera on. Then when he turned the camera on, it's already has escalated. They have police officers that have responded. They have 6 or 7 officers that have now responded because this guy's non-compliant. These situations become very violent quickly. If you've ever been a cop, cops know a guy could be doing all this because he's going to pull a gun out.
Or maybe, hear me out, maybe. Yes, that is true. That is true. Okay, yeah. Or they become more agitated because the cops escalate the situation. Yeah, maybe people become more edgy because they're concerned about their own safety because there have been bad cops that do some really crazy things to people. Yeah. You see, it's a twofold street kind of, Mr. Tatum. The officer has the right to de-escalate the situation the same way that the citizen does. The citizen has a right to be freaked out by somebody doing something crazy the same way the officer does. So it behooves both parties to think about this logically, doesn't it? But you want to absolve the police officer who has the higher criteria for restraint. That's weird to me.
He won't pull off on the traffic stop. He's a wanted murderer. You know, there's a lot of things that could be possibilities which will make officers heighten their suspicion when somebody's acting like this over a headlight.
Heightening suspicion is not the same as heightening your actions to the point of being egregious. How do you sleep? Like, really? Like, how do you, Brandon, how do you functionally go to bed knowing this is the kind of stuff you believe? That's insane.
Fraction. You know, there's a lot of things that could be possibilities which will make officers heighten their suspicion.
How about this possibility, Brandon? The possibility that people are sick and tired of having their rights violated and their lives interrupted because an armed and dangerous corporate road pirate is once again violating his oath to defend constitutional rights.
Now, mind you, I have a suspicion, this is just my suspicion, that the commentator has a beef with police in general. I can already sense that. That is not us. We don't have a beef with police in general. We do believe that they do have an oath and they do have a job, and it is constantly being pressured to do things that they ought not to do. And the majority of people that do follow the rules end up encountering sometimes police officers that don't abide by the rules. However, the majority of altercations that happen with the police, most of them are justified. The majority of issues that happen with civilians, most of them are justified. And for the most part, most officers behave within the law. The few that don't make it bad for the others, and they don't know how to behave. Like you haven't even had police, and this is how bad it is for a bad cop. A bad cop will make a good cop second think how they are doing something. because they don't want to. They're so much wanting to just be not violating the person's right and not look like the bad cop. They will allow way more things than they should, and they actually put themselves in danger. That's the danger of having a bad cop on the street, and Brandon is for that. He loves having bad cops on the streets because it's all justified to him.
But then when you go to extracting them from the car, I think the cop could have went without the palm strike to the face. But according to the law, according to what the attorney general said, nothing that he did was illegal and out of the bounds of use of force policy.
Just to be sure, Mr. Tatum thinks that it's okay, while he doesn't think it was needed. Remember, he said that, right? He doesn't think it was needed. It's fine to just reach through and smack the person in the face because the law said I could do it. This man, bruh.
But then when they pulled him out of the car, punching him in the face, it's not pretty, but we can utilize that level of force to execute an arrest.
Huh? Look. Is he out the car? Yeah. Okay, he's out the car. You said initially the punch to the face was to get him out the car. Okay, he's out the car though. And so the punch in the face is not pretty, but we have the right to use it, so might as well.
We can utilize that level of force to execute an arrest.
Even though he's no longer a cop and hasn't been for years, he still includes himself in the group of thin blue line tyrants as though he were still a part of the club. And let's be clear about what he's saying. All those unpretty sucker punches were legal, so we can do it.
Yeah.
Cops and former cops like this love that part.
Legalize brutality? Where do I sign?
Now, that's a bit far. The generalization of all cops is just as asinine as Brandon Tatum's take. Here's a problem. People will go to the extreme on both ends. This guy is going to the extreme about all cops. Brandon is going to the extreme about all cops. All cops are justified in doing whatever they want. And on this guy's take, all cops are crap. There is a happy medium in the middle. There really is. There is a very blended middle. So please, don't be like either one of these when it comes to your viewpoint about the police system. There are indeed very, 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 very good cops out there that do their job and they try to stay within every aspect of the law that they can until pushed to a point where they can no longer do so. Majority of people that get pulled over abide by the rules of the road and they will give you what you need to get. And not every altercation that happens between a cop and a civilian ends up in situations like this. Both of these people are in the complete, and I'm glad this is a perfect pause. They're both wrong because they're both red. You go to the extreme on either end, you end up with civilian rebellion or you end up with police rebellion. Both end up bad for everybody.
And you saw when he punched him in the face, when he was out of the car, he complied. So those things to the public may seem a little bit extreme, which I understand. But when you're a police officer and you deal with use of force every day, you realize a cop got to do whatever a cop believes is necessary to get this guy under control because you don't know him.
Yeah, they pay the ultimate price for hesitation or making a mistake in assessing a situation. So for us to watch and say, shame on you, it's like, well, you know what? You don't see all the cops that were killed because they hesitated.
Civilians been killed too. What? There are tons of civilians that have been killed for doing exactly what they were supposed to do. Our officer gets to the door and the civilian is told to get their license and registration. The civilian turns to go get that. And all of a sudden, because the police officer is in a heightened state of awareness, thinks, oh no, gun, and shoots a person. The civilian is just as much a threat, and it's a threat to them just as much as it is for the cop. It doesn't end with just the police officer. I understand that many police officers get shot because they're doing their job. I get that. But so do civilians because they're doing exactly what they were told.
Cops see cops that are killed. They used to send us a briefing every day, and when we go to the briefing meeting, the first 15 minutes of our shift, we do briefing, and then we go out and patrol. It's kind of like a little time to collect ourselves before we overlap.
Right.
But they should send us cops that get killed every day. So every day we get a list of all the police officers that have been killed and the circumstances that they've been killed in. And there's so many cops that have been killed on traffic stop in this very scenario where a guy's non-compliant for what seems to be a basic traffic stop. He shuts the door and then he has a gun. And now he's got a reason to be hyped up, and cops get killed. They walk up to the window and they get killed. So every day we get a list of all the police officers that have been killed and the circumstances that they've been killed in.
Aye, Captain, here's the report. We've recently had a whole slew of pirates killed on the high seas while they were conducting their piracy operations, and we have no idea why people are lashing out.
Again, he's also on the extreme. Making your point on one way is good. But if you're just as extreme as Brandon, then you kind of lose your point. You can easily lose your point there, buddy. You can't be as egregious to the side of people, even including the criminals, while trying to call out the people on the other side, including the criminals. You lose your point. If we cannot be objective about this, instead of being all this emotion behind stuff, we'll never get to a place where we can actually interact with each other sensibly. Park the emotions, bro. Look, I get it. Okay, you are upset at how Tatum, but you're being just as hyperbolic as he is. These are officers that died. And you don't know the situations behind any of the situation that killed them. So for them to hand out this list to say, these are the guys that died, what Brandon should have done was explain to them, everybody, no, this was a situation here, 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 and not every situation should be applied to this because each of these were individualistic. And we wonder why as people we can't get along. You know why? Because we invest too much in our emotions. We get too hyped up in what we feel. And you feel so much that you forget fact. And when you walk into a situation with all feelings, you react volatile-wise and stupid stuff happens on both sides.
It makes no sense.
You'll see that the cop stands off to the back quarter panel of the car because he has to be in a tactical advantage because you don't know who this guy is. It's not reasonable to get mad over a headlight infraction. You know what I'm saying? So
on both sides, the cop or the civilian. The cop can't afford to get mad over a traffic citation either.
It's not reasonable to get mad over a headlight infraction. You know what I'm saying? So,
oh, I know what you're saying, but it is reasonable to viciously attack somebody who's resisting a headlight violation. How about it's not reasonable to infringe on a person's right to travel for a stupid headlight infraction?
But is it stupid though? Hear me out. Is it stupid to require people to drive in a manner that would save other people some issues? Say it is raining, say it is foggy, say there is smoke. And a headlight being turned on can save one person from going in a different direction on the road when they can't see. So is it bad to have that rule? No. The abuse of that rule, yeah, that's a problem. But you can't just obfuscate the thing by saying the rule's bad. No, the rule's not bad. The rule is, it's a smart rule. Very smart rule. In fact, it's a safety rule because if it's dark, it is like driving at night without your lights. Should that be taken away too? Oh, that's pretty obvious safety, isn't it? You can't see where you're going and nobody can see you. What's the difference between smoke, fog, and rain? You see what I mean by having too much emotion that you forget logic? Both sides are right now. It's so weird. He starts off at the beginning of the video pointing out all the obvious fallacies, only to fall into the same fallacies on the other side. Why? Emotions.
This is like an asylum inmate trying to convince normal people that asylum patients and their actions should be viewed and accepted as normal when they're clearly not.
But they're normal for an asylum. You said in the asylum. It is very normal for people in the asylum to act like people in the asylum. That's what it's built for. Wow.
I tell anybody go on a ride along. Go on a ride along. And then if you were on a ride along, you would have been at that traffic stop and you can feel this emotion. Yeah. Like when your life is on the line, when you're watching in front of TV, you're like, oh man, you know, they just rambling and you know, they're scuffling a little bit. He slaps him in the face. He didn't. When you're physically there, your adrenaline is out of control because you think I can be killed at any moment right now.
But that's not the role of the cop. A cop, when this is supposed to be part of their ruling, is that they cannot be acting on emotion and adrenaline based stuff. I get that adrenaline is there, but the whole point is to subdue it and think rationally, logically, to get out of the situation both safe for you and the civilian. Being yourself engulfed in this stupidity will make things bad for everybody. Period.
Can't see this guy's hands. He got the windows rolled up. Is this going to be my moment where I'm going to get killed and I'm never going home to my family? Why is this guy getting so worked up over a traffic stop? This is a warning. Hey, turn your lights on. Is this guy going to produce a weapon? Is this a mass murderer? Is this guy running from the law? Did he just kill somebody? Like,
you don't know.
I felt it, bro, when I was a cop. You feel this adrenaline where you kind of get afraid and then you get, you know, kind of worked up.
Okay, then don't be a cop. If that is your go-to, then don't be a cop. Sorry to say it. Not everybody's cut out for it, right? No, not everybody's cut out to be a soldier either. Not everybody is cut out to be certain jobs. You're just not built for it. Okay, me. I'll start with me because I'm me better than anybody else, okay? I used to drive a lot. Now I will never go back to a job where I'm required to drive a lot. I'm not built like that anymore. I will not be able to sit for hours every day driving. No. And I'm not going to frustrate other drivers by doing that and putting them in harm's way because I fall asleep at the wheel or I'm frustrated. I'm not doing that to myself or other people. So I self-evaluate and I said, you know what? I can't do that. Not doing that job. If your emotions get the best of you every time and you are too stressed out and worried about what could happen, don't be a cop. It ain't for you.
Palm striking in the moment seemed reasonable to you when you're worked up and this guy's uncompliant and there's so much going on. When you go look at it, you go, yeah, he could have went without the palm strike. I mean,
why is this guy getting so worked up over a traffic stop?
Golly, Beeve, I don't know why in the heck average people are getting so upset and worked up at traffic stops while an armed revenue-generating state agent known for killing people and pets and
they're not known for that. You see again? Hyperbolic. Is that what cops are known for? You see the problem? At this point, both sides are being ridiculous. What do you think his statements are going to do for people when they do interact with cops? Let me put it this way. While Brandon's statements are being just as crazy for people interacting with cops, how do you think people are going to interact with cops listening to this guy? They go in leery from the very get-go. Even there might be no reasons for it, but they go in and they take with them a certain level of emotion that shouldn't be there. So now you've brought in something volatile. The police already has something volatile. What's that? A nasty concoction. That cocktail will end many lives. You don't teach patience. You don't teach, and it's not, I'm not talking about compliance here. I'm talking about level-headed logic. We don't want to teach that. We don't want to teach that. Instead, we want to go on both ends of saying police can do no wrong and civilians can do no wrong. So where's the middle? Where's the fix?
Adrenaline is out of control.
Your adrenaline is out of control.
Is threatening people and interfering with their right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Why in the heck would anybody be so worked up about that?
And this is a problem with misinterpreting certain things about the Constitution. I won't get into that particular thing right now, because that's a whole nother bag of cats. A bag of wet cats that didn't want to be in water. But the issue here at hand is, how do we as a population interact with each other without this sort of altercation happening? It's about education on both sides. Cops doing their job and civilians abiding by what is there for safety reasons and what they know they ought to do. It's not even like you don't know. Are there laws out there that are absolutely ridiculous and shouldn't be in place? Yes. Can you adjust that? Of course you can, by the way you vote. But then again, nobody wants to do that either because they're not logically thinking through this.
Why is this guy getting so worked up over a traffic stop?
I guess bootlicking morons will never cease to be bootlicking morons. If you like these commentary videos.
Now, is Brandon an overly zealous person when it comes to the defense of cops? Yes. Here's the deal, an overly zealous person trying to defend so-called rights of the humans that exist outside of the police officers? Yes. Both sides bear some problems going on in this video. Both sides. Because both sides are unwilling to implement something we like to call logic. If you bring situations with emotionality into things and you get overly volatile with your emotions has a problem. And the problem is it doesn't have an off switch. And that could cause mad problems. You get to adrenaline rushed, you shoot people. You get too defensive, you bring damage to yourself and you end up hurting people. Either way, though, I'll say this about Mr. Tatum. His ability to not see things logically is astounding. His ability to defend even the most egregious wrong is astounding. His ability to not even reason through something when it comes to police officers is mind-boggling, but par for the course for him. He's always been this way. Some would call him a shill. He toes the line for the blue regardless of who. While we support the office of a police officer, not every police officer is worth our support. Not for Brandon, though. Every police officer is right. And of course, if they get it wrong, then it's just, whatever, and it's okay. No. Hold them accountable so we can get the system working properly. Same way we can hold civilians accountable so we can get the system working properly. But when you can't do that, well, you end up with someone like, here's the deal, and Brandon Tatum. Again, people, implement your logic bone. Stop functioning on emotions, because emotions will get you into trouble. You can always go back and deal with something when you have a timeline written out, everything done to sequence right. But when you can't remember because you're too invested in your feelings, you'll fail, and the system will never get rectified. We look forward to hearing your viewpoints on this one. And yes, we do agree that the punches were unnecessary. Whatever led up to it, still not necessary. But we'll wait to hear your take on this one.